Good evening and welcome to the pick your choice of April Fool or Tax Day or maybe Earth Day edition of the Tucson Macintosh Users Group monthly meeting.
And it's Debbie's birthday today.
Well, happy birthday,
Happy
Debbie.
birthday, Debbie.
So welcome sustaining members, new members, first-time guests, dual platform users, switchers. You need not be a member to attend, but some of the benefits of membership include free raffle tickets for the super raffle, which you could win a $200 Apple gift card. The winner picked in March, and Kurt will be taking attendance tonight to fill out the raffle slips. To be eligible, the screen name displayed must match with the record of a current TMUG membership. If we can't identify you, then your name will not be placed in the raffle. Bob, who is obviously not here, is at a undisclosed location photographing a sunset as we speak. So he was hoping to be able to maybe be here, but his photography workshop event took precedence. So I'm Roger Harmon, your temporary master of ceremonies. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, the third Tuesday of the month, as always, May 21st, on the same Zoom platform. And in May, we will have the Ask Me Anything, hosted by Kevin at 6 o'clock. Chris Wesselman will have another accessibility minute. The main presentation will be favorite apps, featuring several of the TMUG members. And if you have a favorite app that you would like to share in a 5 to 10 minute presentation, please contact Bob or any of the officers and we'll get you on the agenda. So if there's an app that you use that maybe is not well known, then pitch in and share it with all of us. So see the chat window for the link to the online presenter review poll. Bob Doms said he might not be here. I don't know if he made it in yet. Is Bob here? Let me just look at the gallery.
I'm here. It's posted in the chat.
Very good, Bob. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So that information is actually very valuable to us. We discuss that at every board of directors meeting. So please fill that out. Give us any recommendations for future meetings so we can get the content that you are looking for. So last month, the annual super raffle drawing winner was Susan Clement. Congratulations, Susan. And don't let me close the meeting out without Kurt picking the door prize winner. Like the super raffle, to be eligible, the screen name must be displayed to match the record that we have in our TMUG membership records. So are there any other announcements that anybody has? Or any for sale or wanted to buy? Okay, let's move on to our tech and security update with Ridge.
And this is for, I'm up.
Yes.
Okay. I'll share the screen. Let's see what we got here. And this month, software updates as far as our tech update goes. If you're using any of the Affinity design programs, Designer, Photo, and Publisher are now on version 2.4.2. And if you're using BB Edit, it got an update, and Carbon Copy Cloner as well. And Chrome for Mac and Chrome for iOS and iPad, they got updates. Firefox was updated as well for both Mac and the iOS or iPad OS. And if you're running Microsoft Office, that's version 16.83.3 now. And if you happen to be running TechTool Pro, any of those versions, they got updates as well. And now we're running on Zoom 6. So that's Apple had updates as well. The AirTag firmware got updated and their AirPods Max got updated. And the iWork apps are now version 14 for all of them, for either whether you're running them in Mac OS or the iOS. And the Mac OS has got to be Ventura or better, and iOS and iPad OS has to be version 16 or better. And that includes Pages, Keynote, and numbers as well. And if you're running a Ventura, Mac OS Ventura, it's at 13.6.6 now. And Sonoma is at 14.4.1. Safari also for Monterey and Ventura got updated to 17.4.1. And if you're running iOS and iPad OS, 17.4.1 and 16.6.7.7 are the latest versions for that. And if you happen to have a Vision Pro, the operating system is now at 1.1.2. And as far as the software coming from Apple that's in beta, AirPods Pro version 2 firmware has got an update coming, and Monterey has got an update coming. So does Ventura and Sonoma. And your HomePod software is coming up to 17.5 when it gets released. So, and the iOS, iPad OS is up to 17.5 coming. tvOS as well, and Watch OS is coming 10.5, and the Vision OS is going to be coming out sooner or later to 1.2. And this is what the Vision Pro looks like if you're looking at an X-ray machine picture of it. So it's a pretty busy little machine there. Just thought it would be fun to take a look and see what all of those things are that you can't see unless you have an X-ray machine. And in Apple's news, their Worldwide Developers Conference for this year is set for June 10th through the 14th. And the keynote is going to be on Monday, June 10th. As far as repair news, Apple's now got an online support site devoted to helping you find documents and downloads that you might need for your any of your Apple devices. And that webpage begins at support.apple.com/en-us/docs. That's English US documents. And this is a picture of what you'll see and what you can get documents and downloads for. A new patent application from Apple is about Apple working on technology to maybe make a futuristic all glass MacBook Pro. And these are some of the pictures from that patent application. As far as Microsoft goes, they announced a version of Office 2024 for Mac. It's going to be released later this year. And it's going to have a perpetual one-time license when it gets here. That means no subscription pricing, and it'll be supported for 5 years with the traditional one-time purchase model, and a standalone download version will be available, they say. And of course, we'll have to wait to see if that really becomes true. As far as Sonoma goes, that 14.4.1 OS update, it was supposed to fix all the issues that 14.4 created, but this version had issues of its own that included bricking and USB hub problems. Now, that was reported on the 26th of March. Version 14.4 contained critical security patches, and 14.4.1 included more security patches. And there was another issue reported online and in all of Apple's forums, was desktop mounting problems with external drives formatted for exFAT that in order to work seamlessly with Macs and Windows. And that this whole issue needs an Apple-issued software fix because drive handling changes were introduced by Apple in Sonoma. And some of the users reporting the problem said that they downgraded to Ventura and that worked for them okay. And we've been looking at Apple items under the nostalgia corner section of my presentations that are out for auction, but we never know what they really sold for. And here's what some of those items sold for. And the most money sold was for an Apple One that Apple signed that Apple developer was sold for $323,789. And there was even a prototype Apple mouse from 1984, and it sold for over $14,000. That factory sealed, never opened 4 gig iPhone at the top was a very rare model. It was discontinued 2 months after it was released, and there were only a couple of actual models available. And this one was in a factory sealed box with the plastic intact and everything. How about the rumors that have been popping up? And there's a rumor now about Apple releasing an iPad Pencil version 3 with a new squeeze pressure gesture in the pencil body to facilitate quick interactions. Is that going to be released? Well, we'll have to wait and see on that too. And how about the first week of May, 4 new iPad models coming? How about that? That's being reported as a rumor on the online websites. How about the Mac Studio getting a M3 chip pretty soon? I know my Mac Studio has an M2 Ultra in it, which is 2 Maxes together with a high-speed interface in between them. And when the M3 chip comes, so I'll wait till the M3 Ultra is released before upgrading my Mac Studio. And there's also rumors online that Apple has been working on an iMac with a 32-inch screen with an M3 Pro chip or Max inside. But of course, we're going to have to wait to see it on that one. And if you'd like, we still have cloth logos and pins available. You can contact me or Kurt Blanchard, just in case. And thanks for your attention for this part of my presentation. And now we'll turn to the items of security interest. And Apple has updated, Adobe rather, has updated in After Effects, Photoshop, Bridge, Illustrator, InDesign, Media Encoder, and a couple of other programs for critical security patches. So if you're running Adobe products, make sure you have the latest version. Google updated Chrome with 21 total fixes in between version .59 and .107. Mozilla's done Firefox as well, and it's got 16 fixes in their updates from 124 to 124.01. And Microsoft had a fix for the Office for Mac versions with 1 fix. And Apple's updates for Ventura, Sonoma, the iPad OS, now iOS had all these fixes, and Safari 17.4.1 had a fix as well. And Vision OS, that 1.1.1 had 2 security fixes. How about some cybercrime news? How about a Go Fetch vulnerability? A group of university researchers found a vulnerability in Apple's M-series chips that can be exploited to gain access. That the GoFax, it can be used by an attacker to access a user's encrypted files. And researchers were able to perform GoFax on the M1, M2, and M3 Macs and reported their findings to Apple. The attacks aren't common, and they require a hacker to have physical access to a Mac. So the best way to prevent an attack is to secure your user account on your Mac with a strong password and keep people you don't know away from your Mac. More crime, cybercrime news, reset ID attack. There's a new iPhone phishing attack that involves repeated requests to reset your Apple ID password. This attack recurs hundreds of times in the hope that you'll respond to one of the requests. The reset notifications, they look real because they are real, as the attackers are exploiting a bug in Apple's operating systems that sends legitimate notifications to all Apple devices logged into that Apple ID when somebody tries to reset a password via the Apple's Forgot Password button page. When the iPhone user responds, a follow-up call is going to be made from a spoofed Apple support phone number saying that your account's under attack and you need to verify a one-time code. And once the attackers receive that code, they can reset your password and break into your Apple ID. And until Apple responds with a fix, the best they can do to stop the attack is to repeatedly cancel or tap "Don't Allow" for any password reset notifications that you did not initiate. And as always, never give someone a two-factor code, even if they say they're from Apple. A spyware attack from Apple. This on the April 11th, they alerted certain users in 92 countries that they may have been the target of spyware. In an email that they said, Apple detected that you are being targeted by a mercenary spyware attack that is trying to remotely compromise the iPhone associated with your Apple ID. Apple specifically pointed out that this is a targeted attack on specific users, not a widespread attack on the masses. And they said this attack is likely targeting you specifically because of who you are or what you do. And we have high confidence in this warning, so please take it seriously. Attacks of this sort are usually targeted at government officials, politicians, activists, and journalists. And Apple recommended the recipients of the warning message to enlist so-called expert help and ensure that they have the latest operating system and software security patches installed. And now Apple has something that it tries to help keep your machines as safe as possible. It's called Gatekeeper. And that functionality prevents users from running unsigned software installers. And when a user double clicks on an installer, this Gatekeeper function checks for the certificate that they've issued to developers. And this certificate tells Apple's three things: who the developer is, and if the developer is blacklisted, and if the software has been tampered with since leaving the developer for distribution. And users can bypass Gatekeeper warnings by control-clicking an installer and selecting Open from the pop-up menu. And if this method to install is required by the software development, it's a red flag, so do not comply with that. And Macworld Online's April recommendation for the best antivirus for Mac this year, and they reviewed and ranked 14 packages and security suites, and they found that they still recommend Intego Mac Security X9 as their recommended paid version. It costs $25 for the first year, and after the first year, $50 a year. This is a security package that's built for the Mac, and it's easy to set up, and it has reliable scanning tools. They also, if you don't want to spend anything, they recommend AVG Antivirus for the Mac as a free version. It's quick and easy to install, and it has a capable basic protection and a clean and helpful dashboard. So thanks for your attention for my entire slideshow this month. And the moral of this program is to stay safe. Thank you. And now I will stop screen sharing.
Thank you, Ridge. And we're talking a lot about security tonight, which is a good thing because It's a crazy world out there, and we have to protect ourselves. Next up, we have the Accessibility Minute. Chris, take it away.
Okay, I've got a couple of things to show tonight. So let me share my screen and bring up that email page if I can find it here. I always end up with all these extra windows that I don't know where they came from. It's going to be under mail. Okay. Under applications. A lot of stuff. Oh, there's my Shogun window. Anybody's watching Shogun on Hulu, it's fantastic. Let's see. Well, I hope I can find this. I'm not going to have much to talk about if I can't find it. Anyway, there are a couple of things from, oh, this is it. Pretty sure. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I think you're seeing iPhone Life Tip of the Day up here. Right? Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay, so a couple of things. These are from iPhone Life Tip of the Day. I don't know. Some of them are a little boring. Some of them we've seen before, but I'm occasionally surprised by these things, and they're really interesting. And this first tip has to do with seeing either the desktop site or basically the iPhone site. They probably call it something different. I think they call it the mobile site for any particular web page. And this could be important if you're on your phone, you don't have access to the big computer, and you bring up a website and all of a sudden it is the full computer website and you can't possibly read it on your iPhone. Does that happen to anybody? Because it happens to me once in a while. I didn't realize that you can go in, you can open Safari, and let me just step through these steps, hopefully not too quickly. And it's in the window where you turn on Reader. And I can show you guys that if you haven't seen it. I'm sure everyone's seen that by now. And then you can request, this is the Reader stuff here that's available, and you can request either the desktop website or it will toggle and it will be the mobile website. So that's something just to kind of keep in mind. I set some sites that I actually like to use but have tons of ads on them to automatically open in the Reader. And I may just show that. Is everybody familiar with what that is? Don't know if I can do that on the desktop, but it basically takes out all of the formatting and ads and stuff, makes it a lot easier. However, you can't 100% rely on the Reader because sometimes it'll drop a paragraph or two. So stop me anytime anybody has questions on this stuff. The second one, and this is sort of a no-brainer, but I didn't actually think of it either. And that is that if you are a two-fisted typer on your iPhone, you can use the 1, 2, 3 button just like the shift button on an old typewriter. So in other words, you can be typing along and you can just hold the button down. Normally we tap it once and we get the number key, we type our numbers and we go tap it again. Well, depending upon your typing style, it may be faster just to hold that down for 2 or 3 numbers and then let up on it, and you'll be right back to letters. So if you think about the old shift key button on typewriters, I think most of us here can relate to that. That may be faster for you. May not, I don't know, give it a try, see if you like it. But anyway, nothing special about that. You just tap and hold the button and it acts like a shift key showing numbers, and then you release it and you're back to the letters in the top row. And when you do that, when you hold the button down, you'll see the letters. Now, there were some third-party keyboards that actually would switch the top row of letters to numbers when you did that. I don't know if they're still around or not. Some of the third-party keyboards have stopped working with later OSs. But anyway, that's that tip. See, here's sort of, well, I don't know, not a very good example. There was another one about the Apple Watch battery. Okay, I know what this one is. So there is a widget that has batteries on it. Has anybody seen this before? Everybody using it? I think this is really cool. I have it on my home screen because it'll show the battery level of the iPhone, the watch, and my 2 hearing aids. So it's just really handy because, you know, the iPhone will alert me when the battery level gets below a certain amount with, I think it's a shortcut, but there's nothing I know of for the Apple Watch. We've talked about this before. And so what I'd really love is if it would tell me when I get down to 30 or 40%, so I could put it on the charger like it is right now. Because my battery function's actually down to 77% on my Series 6 watch, which is a little disappointing. But anyway, this is in widgets. All you have to do is go to where the widgets are, click the plus sign, and add a widget, and just search on batteries. So if you're not running this, I find it very handy because it's a visual reminder that I will usually see. It's like, oh, okay, I need to charge something. And let's see, I think the final one I want to do tonight is this one on the speakerphone. Now, there are some people in this world, and maybe some of them sitting here watching tonight, who always talk on the speakerphone of their iPhone. You know, they never use the iPhone speaker. They never use headphones like I do. My wife is one of these people usually. And at least on iPhone, you can click on your settings, go to accessibility, same old drill, go to touch. And this time inside of touch, we're going to go to call audio routing or routing. And you can select speaker. Now, for those of us that wear hearing aids, this is overwritten by the hearing aid software, and it will always default to hearing aids unless you turn them off. But for
Hey,
those who
Chris,
don't,
one thing on that
uh-huh,
is there's also a feature that you could do if you use Siri to make a phone call.
uh-huh.
You could say, "Hey, S lady, call such and such on speakerphone."
I've heard that. I've heard that. Have you used it, Kevin?
Yes, and it works really well on the times I need to talk to somebody and I know I'm going to use the speakerphone.
Cool. That's a great tip.
Is there something that would prevent that from working? Because I used to use it all the time and it hasn't been working for me lately. When I tell it to go to speaker, it just doesn't. It's something that would get in my way.
Depends. It might be if you're at home and you have like some home pods. You
Mhm.
need to make sure that you say speakerphone, not speaker.
Speakerphone. Okay. It's usually when I'm in the car.
Yeah,
I
it could
haven't
be
tried it in my new
CarPlay.
car yet.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
car is kind of weird if you have CarPlay set up.
It was happening in my old car when I didn't have CarPlay, but now that I do, I haven't tried it yet, so I'll have to see.
You
I
might have
usually
to
just
play
use the
with
car now
wording.
anyway, so.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it gets
speakerphone,
tricky
okay.
with CarPlay because CarPlay actually overrides the hearing aids, which is like they must have gone
Interesting.
through the Vatican for that one. But
Oh my. Is that a
yeah,
good thing or a
so
bad thing?
well, if I'm trying to do an exercise in Duolingo and then I don't hear anything right because it's not coming through my hearing aids, and now it's Siri's announcing something to me right now, actually. But it tries to play through CarPlay, and if the volume's off, there's no sound.
Right.
So yeah,
So,
CarPlay, yeah, it
so
has its
CarPlay
own.
is like, in other words, like the Bluetooth is in a hierarchy and CarPlay is like supersedes the hearing aids?
And you know, it's really weird. I can be sitting here talking on the phone, and Sue goes to say this to the market in the Nissan Rogue, which has CarPlay. And she comes back when she opens the garage door. My telephone
Oh.
conversation reverts to the car
Oh
and
no, it
starts hearing
hijacks
my.
it.
It's like, because the garage is that wall right there.
Isn't there a
So
way to prevent that?
I don't know.
Unfortunately not, and one of the worst things to do is you could be like I wear a headset all the time. I could be on talking to somebody, turn on my car, and it switches from my headset to the car.
Yeah.
And there
I've
is
had that happen
no
where it
way,
goes to my AirPods.
yeah, and there is no way that I know to override that. I think CarPlay is like root, you know,
Hmm.
on computers, root is God. CarPlay is God in that sense of the words.
Aha. So the moral of the story is if you've lost your sound all of a sudden, check your
Check
sound
CarPlay.
settings. Yeah, check and see if it went there and see if you can get it back.
You know, my early days at
Interesting.
Apple years ago, I was complaining to my manager, who's now a very old friend after all these years, and about Apple's pricing. And I said, I thought we weren't competitive in the marketplace. He assured me in no uncertain terms that there were people at Apple that made many multiples of my paycheck that made decisions on Apple pricing, and I didn't need to worry about it.
Oh my. Well, that's one way to say it, I guess.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's it tonight on the tips. If anybody's interested in these, I'll find a way to forward them to the website. They're all, as you can see, HTML emails, so I don't know if I can forward them to the bulletin board, but I could probably find them online. Any questions on these tonight? And these are all under iPhone Life, which I subscribe to, and I'd say probably for me in the average week, 2 out of 5 are worthwhile. But for the 2 that are, it's worth it. Oh, and one
Yeah.
thing real
Chris?
quick, by the way, you know, Melissa, you were asking if something can get in the way.
Yes.
There's something that I downloaded. I wanted to record, don't tell anybody I said this, but I wanted to record a lecture that I had taken at a U of A course. And it turns out that QuickTime Player can't capture the audio. So there is a workaround to do that. And I think I sent it to Bob once upon a time, but
Oh,
it's called Black
yeah.
Hole. Black Hole 2
Okay.
channel, I think. And if I switch to that, so in my audio settings, I've got external headphone, Mac mini speakers, Black Hole 2 channel, computer audio input, headphones for recording. That's what I do, headphones for recording. It loops the sound from the headphones back to the microphone so that the audio from a lecture gets recorded with QuickTime Player. And if that's on, that's obviously rerouting that stuff. So if you use something like that, you have to remember to turn it off. But it's usually like a higher end audio function that hopefully you would know about anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Piezo from Rogue Amoeba does that too, but Black Hole's free, so I think Piezo is like $20.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, I sent the money because I thought, wow, this is really cool
Mm-hmm.
because it allows me to do that. And I mean, I'll never share them anywhere, but the classes are only online for a week or a month or something. And I, wanted to be able to refer back to them because they were awesome classes. But anyway, so I will stop sharing and
Oh, real quick though, Chris, before you do stop sharing, can you go to one of the pages that shows a picture of the iPhone where it has the home screen? If you scroll up and down a little bit, there was one where it had an example there. Okay.
uh-huh.
Okay, so scroll down to the next one, to the one with a light background. So you see the horizontal line across the very bottom where you place your fingertip to swipe up and go home. So I
This
just
one
learned.
here.
Mm-hmm. So I
You just
just
swipe
learned
that left and right.
yeah, when you swipe that left and right, it'll switch in between the pages. And I just learned that the other day. Because
Oh
I've always
yeah,
been going up and over to the right to get into the app switcher. I didn't know you could just swipe left and right on that little bar there.
you can. Some of the
That's
third-party cameras don't play well with this, but by and
Uh-huh.
large, yeah, it works great. You can switch back and forth. And if if the apps you want to switch to, like sometimes I'm using 2 or 3 different cameras and I want them I want to flip back and forth and do comparison shots. So I
Mhm.
can force quit it and then open it again and it'll be adjacent. So you can play around with what's adjacent.
Right, so you get them next to each other and then you can just
Yeah.
swipe back and forth, left to right. Yeah.
And
that's
it
pretty
could
cool.
matter if you're trying to do some productivity stuff on your phone, somewhere, say you're on the road, in the car, whatever, and hopefully not driving, and you know, you need to have two apps adjacent on the phone, you can do that.
Yep. I just
As
thought that'd
always,
be fun
don't
to
know
share
if
with
this works on
everybody.
the, I don't know if this works on the iPad.
Yeah, I haven't tried on the iPad yet. Have you, Kevin?
It does work on the iPad. Another nice feature on the iPad that a lot of people are unaware of is if you have a keyboard attached, you can use Command Tab just like you do on your Mac.
I do it all the
Mhm.
time, and
Yep.
it even works with universal control.
Yep.
Nice.
That's how I have my 16 gig Mac Mini surviving with multiple photo apps, because I take mail and Microsoft Outlook and text apps and stuff, and I move all of that to the iPad, which I can see with universal control very easily, with the keyboard and stuff. But of course, it's a separate CPU, so it's not using up memory on the M1.
That's
Right.
smart.
Yeah, so it's
Great
a cool
tips.
thing if you're trying to save room for photo apps, which may take tons of room. So anyway, that's it for me tonight. Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Chris. Great information. I'm sure that many of us picked up some tips there that we weren't aware of. So the last presentation of tonight, as soon as Chris stops sharing,
Oh, I thought I did.
it's up at the top.
I see
Um,
new share.
It's, I think it's in
Yes.
red.
Hit escape.
Is beeping when I hit escape. Oh, stop share. There it is.
There you
Oh,
go.
sorry.
Okay. Thanks again, Chris. That was good. And he'll be back next month with some new tips. So I'm going to do a presentation now. So let me share my screen. Let me get Keynote is working. And okay. Oh, here we go. The buttons are in different places these days. So we're going to talk about protecting yourself online. We've actually talked a lot about this already today, and in the Ask Me Anything session that starts at 6 o'clock that you're all invited to, we did some talking about that. So this is for our April 16th meeting, and I am Roger Harm. So the origin story here, this was inspired by a My Mac podcast, number 957, and then Bob or Guy Cyril was on that, and Bob Wood and Kurt suggested that might be a nice presentation for us here. So that's how this all got started. So fake websites is something that we have to be aware of. The thieves out there are trying to fool us by setting up websites that look similar to known websites, but have some little tiny differences that we may not notice. One of the things that you want to look for is the HTTPS in a web address. That S means it's secure. So you want to try to stay on those. And anytime you get a website link, you want to hover over the link with your mouse and it'll show you the actual link. So if you're getting an email and it says it's your bank and you want the email request that you click on this link, you hover over the link and you see that the actual email address has nothing to do with your bank. So obviously you don't want to click on those. So the rule of thumb is when you get an email or a text to click on a link to go to a website, you don't use that link. You go to the actual website and make sure that that request is legitimate. So another part of being aware of random of websites is random letters instead of words. So you want to avoid website extensions like XYZ And you also want to make sure that when you see a product advertised and the price is really good, it's probably too good to be true. So don't be tricked into that. I saw the other day was on Facebook, which you want to be very wary of anything advertised on Facebook. They had a Milwaukee compressor for inflating tires and other things, and it was like $39. So I went to Amazon and found the same model was $139. So I knew that that was probably a scam. So if you're looking for a side hustle, there's a lot of things advertised as work from home scams and work from home opportunities, which are usually scams. So you want to make sure and do your due diligence anytime. If you click on some of those and they're asking you to send them money for training or materials, then that is probably a scam. So don't do that. And just as a general rule, you probably want to say no to any kind of crypto because there's a lot of scams involved in that. And unless you've done your due diligence on the crypto market, you need to stay away from those. So the reason we're talking about that is because $50 billion are lost yearly to scammers. So one of the most serious and harmful scams is the romance scam. And this can be pointed towards men or women. So here is some things that I collected. These came off of Facebook. You can see the messages are similar. It says, hello, I came across your profile while browsing on Facebook. I tried to send you a request, but it doesn't work. I love the post you share on your timeline and want to be your friend. If you don't mind sending me a friend request. So the other two here are very similar. So these are from different, who knows what they are. They say they're females, but we don't know that for sure. So usually the romance scams are targeted towards women between the ages of 60 and 75. I was just seeing one today where the 77-year-old woman moved to Kenya because of this guy that convinced her that he was in love with her. He was 40 years old. He wanted to marry her, and he just kept leading her on and milking more and more money out of her. But her family couldn't convince her that it was a scam. So these scammers play a long game. They don't, instantly ask you for money. They may talk to you for weeks or even months. And then finally they have some kind of emergency coming up. They need surgery. Their children needs medicine. There's all sorts of excuses that they use to try to separate you from your money. So you want to be very careful and not get involved in those things. So here are some of the people that contacted me. Actually, most of these came to me on the TMUG Facebook page, interestingly enough. And so all these lovely ladies wanted to be my friend. It's interesting that they're all Chinese, and most of them indicate that they're in the fashion industry, and they go to all these interesting places and have all these expensive meals and want to be my friend. But I just said no. 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 So many times you might get a message saying your social security number has been compromised and you should call a number or click on a link. Don't do that. Federal agents are not going to call you on the phone. So you know right away that that is a scam. And what they'll usually do, if IRS or Social Security want to get a hold of you, they're going to send you a letter. You have won the lottery, but did you enter the lottery? If you didn't, then as they say, you can't lose if you don't play. So if you didn't enter, you didn't win. So just be aware of that, as those are very tempting. So this is something that has come up with artificial intelligence. You get a voice call from a relative, and they have used artificial intelligence to replicate their voice. So if you get a call saying, I need money, I'm in jail, I'm being kidnapped, whatever, you want to have a safe word set up inside your family so that you can ask for the safe word. If you don't have that, then of course the next thing to do would be to call the victim directly with the number that you know that they have and see if they are actually in danger. So never give a stranger gift cards. Anytime anybody is trying to settle something like you didn't show up for jury duty or you have traffic warrants and they want gift cards, you know right away that that's a scam. And this sounds foolish. However, I did have a client one time that paid $700 in iTunes gift cards because the scammer was so skillful in talking them into it. So these people are very clever. They're some of the best customer service people you're ever going to run across. And if you hear the word gift card, then just hang up. So here is another type of scam. They send you an invoice. So the things to look at here. So this invoice is from a person. So usually an invoice is going to be coming from a company. And the next thing that's kind of suspicious here is this specific invoice was sent to 123 people. So invoices are sent usually to only one person. And the other thing to be aware of is that McAfee is a common company name that is used in the scam. So if you don't subscribe to McAfee, it's also could be Norton or some other security company, then you know this is a scam. Just trash that email. And so make sure when you handle these emails, you don't delete them, you put them in trash. So they'll be stopped next time they try to send. Of course, they can change their email address, so there's nothing we can do about that. So this quote, every person, every business has something a cyber bad guy would want. This is from Darren Mott, a cybersecurity expert and host of the Cyber Guy podcast. He's a retired FBI agent, and he warns that believing that is the first step in avoiding scams they are looking to gain from our naivety, online, human error, and things like that. The answer, be cyber smart. And if you have a gut feeling, if you have an instinct that something isn't right here, please listen to that, says Gavina Avila, a community connection specialist for the Better Business Bureau. She suggests that you pause and you think, and pause when you receive a phone call, a text, or an email that you did not expect. So be on your guard, listen to your gut, and make sure you're not a victim to these scams. So there is a website called Website Validator that you can run a website address through, and it will try to validate it or not. And then, as Ridge mentioned earlier, there's a great article that was just updated this month on Macworld. It's entitled The Best Antivirus for Mac 2024 Top Security Software. So if you go to macworld.com, look that up, and you'll see some in-depth reviews for the major virus programs that are available today, and they rank them the way they want them. So, do we have any questions? So while you're thinking of your questions, be aware that the replay for all of our TMUG meetings, including the Ask Me Anything meeting, are available on YouTube. It takes sometimes a day to get them up there. but you can review this information on YouTube at your convenience. Any questions?
Thank you, Roger.
You are welcome. Okay, let's get on with our program. So, Kurt, are you ready to do the drawing? You're muted, Kurt.
Muted or unmuted. No. Anyway, you can hear me now, right?
Yes.
All right. Hey Siri, give us a random number between 1 and 25.
The answer is 22.
The answer is Bob Doms.
Congratulations, Bob. You are
Don,
our
there he is.
door prize
Hey,
winner
Bob.
for April. It pays to come to TMUG meetings.
It does.
Okay, I'm just checking the chat here. I see Melissa had a question about reading SD cards in Sonoma. And I think was it answered, Melissa?
Yeah, there's some release notes I'm gonna pick through that
Oh,
Marty
okay,
provided, so.
okay, good.
My other comment was just about the scammers. Just be aware when you're coming back from a long trip, or if you know you're tired, or you're just checking your phone in the morning. That's usually when they strike and are able to get you when you're at your most tired and most vulnerable. I know people that have been victim of these scams, and they're not the type of people that I would think would be a victim of a scam, but nonetheless they have been, and it happens when you're tired and you don't have all of your faculties. So be aware. Don't make any decisions, or probably just don't check the phone or the computer when you're really tired. Get some
There we
rest
go.
instead.
Yeah, that's a very good suggestion because we hear every day about people that we would never think would be taken in by a scammer that are. So you have to, follow your instincts, be on your guard. It's unfortunate that we have to live in this mode, but that is the way it is. Okay, well, if anybody doesn't have anything else, we'll just close this meeting. Everybody, thank you for coming. We'll be here on the third Tuesday of every month. And we have our groups IO to ask questions in between. So make sure you utilize that resource. So,
And just a reminder, we have a link to the feedback form in the chat, last entry.
okay, thank you. Again, that's a valuable survey that we actually use. So please fill that out, and that is very helpful to the board.
Thanks for emceeing, Roger.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
Yes,
thanks,
thank you, Roger.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Okay, good night.
Thanks, everybody.
I
Good night.
Thanks, Roger.
Thanks, Raj.